Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. First question says, if your husband wants you to not work, can you refuse him because you have a career that pays well and you invested a lot of time and money to achieve that goal? I don't think that as a sister that has a career that has invested a great deal of time and money, except that it was well known to her husband before they got married. I don't think that will exist for a sister to have not a job but a career. She went to school, she's trained, she has experience. And how can that be hidden to her husband? Unless she hid it from him or he was that naive and that ignorant. So in most cases, the husband should have known from day one that she had a career. And this issue should have been discussed and spoken about and agreed or disagreed upon beforehand. So with that being said, that's the asl of that. As far as for argument's sake, okay, but let's say he didn't know or he did agree or whatever the case may be. Then what agreement did they make? Don't stop me from working when we get married. I don't want to wear niqab. I don't want to wear gloves. If that's what they agreed upon, then that's what they should stick to. And if they didn't disagree upon it, they should sit down, they should talk, and they should discuss. Okay? If the husband is taking care of the wife, he's paying for everything, she doesn't have to leave the house for anything, then that's one scenario. As far as if the bills aren't being paid, if things are very short and difficult, then that's a different story. So it has to be based off of a tafahum, mutual understanding, mutual respect, and that which was already known. This is a very wide, common spread problem between husband and wife with regards to lifestyle. The wife has a lifestyle before she gets married to this brother. And the brother thinks or he believes or he expects her to just change like a magic wand. Or the husband, the man, he has a lifestyle. He's living in a certain way. And the sister, she expects him to change and just magically flip into something else. So these things need to be spoken about before time. And if they aren't spoken about before time, then they should just sit down, they should talk, and they should mutually discuss it. Look at the masalih and look at the mafasid. What are the pros? What are the cons? I don't want you working professionally because this, and that. It's a benefit behind you working professionally because so on and so forth. Look at the pros and look at the cons. Seek Allah's help and see what type of conclusion that you can reach that's respectful for both sides. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Next question says, Assalamu alaikum. What is the position / stance a woman should take in regarding a husband reside in her home instead of him providing a place for her home, her homeowner, section, public aid, public housing, etc. In Islam, a wife is entitled to the following things from her husband: food, drink, lodging, and medical treatment. And also her clothing as well. Food, drink, clothing, lodging, and medical treatment. These are the basic rights of the wife upon her husband. If he cannot provide these rights for one reason or another, he's incarcerated, he's overseas, or whatever the case may be, and the woman willingly marries this brother, and she says, just pay half of the rent, or I'll take care of the rent, or whatever agreement they come upon, فَالْمُسْلِمُونَ عَلَى شُرُوطِهِمْ. The hadith says, the believers are upon their shurut, what conditions they come together in agreement. However, the concept of a husband allowing his wife to provide for him, and it's her house, it's her car, she pays everything, she takes care of everything, and then the husband says, don't go outside the house like this, or don't listen to this, or don't watch this, or you can't do this, this is haram, and he wishes to be a qawwam, to be a responsible, domineering husband over his wife, and she's the breadwinner, then that's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for disaster. So it's either one or two things that's going to take place, or one or three. Number one, the first scenario is that the husband is the breadwinner, he's the provider, and that's the asl in Islam. Number two is that the wife is going to be the one who's providing things, or it's her house, she takes care of some of the bills, half of the rent, and they can live peacefully with respect. It's okay, I understand you don't have all of the money. I didn't marry you because of your wealth. I married you because of your character. I married you because of your looks. I married you because of your deen, your ilm, whatever the case may be. And the third scenario is that the wife is going to take care of the husband or pay for things or provide things, and she's going to bring it up and throw it in his face and remind him of his favors. which is a major sin in Islam. Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentions this in Surah Al-Baqarah. Qawlun ma'rufun. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says that for a person to make a fine statement, a kind word, a gentle word, is what? Khayrun min sadaqatin yatba'uha adha. Is better than a charity that is followed by insult and injury. It's better than money that you give someone and you throw it in their face. Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu narrated in Sahih Muslim that there will be three types of people. There are others who will be punished on the day of judgment. Allah will not look towards them. He will not speak to them. He will not purify them. And they will be tortured extremely. And from those people, He says, Al-Mannan. He says, is the one who does something and throws it in someone's face. That's a major sin in Islam. Last but not least, in Surah An-Nisa, Allah Azza wa Jal, He only allows the believing men to accept a gift from a believing woman. Allah says, Tibna lakum. If they give that gift, tayyibatan an-nafs. And she's just saying, tafaddal, it's a gift, without holding it over his head and reminding him of that favor. So this is something that needs to be taken into consideration. Wallahu a'lam. Next question says, what is the ruling on a wife giving back the dowry? I heard many rulings. The husband pays a dower. He gives her the sadaq. And for some reason, the husband needs money, or is a catastrophe or an economic disaster. He gets locked up. He gets injured. He loses his job. And she says, here, take the gold ring that you gave me. Take the diamonds that you gave me. Take the money that you gave me. And if she wants to give a gift without any restrictions, she's not being forced. She's not being coerced or cornered into giving up her money. La bas. It's nothing wrong with that. Zainab, the wife of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, she went to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And when she went to the doorkeeper, the gatekeeper, he said, who is it? She says, it's Zainab. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, which Zainab is it? She says, the wife of Abdullah. And he let her in. And then she went to complain about her husband, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, who was from the virtuous companions, from the greatest of the Sahaba with regards to ilm, from the most learned of the Sahaba with regards to the Quran. And she said that my husband claims that him and his children have most deserving right of my sadaqah. He says, your husband has spoke the truth. So if a woman wants to give money and she's not forced, she's not coerced, once more, she's the one who says, I want to give it to you. La bas. But it's not always necessarily advisable. It's not always necessarily recommended for the woman to give up her gift, nor for the husband to necessarily take the gift from the woman, for obvious reasons. Wallahu alam. Next question says, if a woman gets married or is married by another wakil, after her wakil does not approve towards not marrying the woman but to a brother, and the brother and her get married with another wakil, is their marriage valid? If the woman did not tell the wakil that she wanted to release the wakil of his duty and no longer have him as her wakil. The sister/woman has been married once before. First and foremost, perhaps the proper term for someone who gets a sister married is the wali and not wakil. A wali is different than a wakil. The wali is a man, whether it's your father, your son, your grandfather, your uncle, who's the one who is the marital guardian. A wakil is an agent. It's someone that you send on your behalf to give you permission to get married. So there's some similarities and there's some differences. They're not the same. A wakil is someone who says, listen, you make the deal. I want you to find me a wife, Sheikh. Okay? I give you my consent. You know what I want. You know what I don't want. You figure it out. I'll be pleased with your decision. That's a wakil. A wali is a bit different. A wali is a bit different, okay? The wali doesn't necessarily have a say-so who the sister can get married to, unless it's something which is clearly in violation to Islam. The wali says, I don't like the way the brother looks. He's not handsome enough, I don't think, for you. She says, he's gorgeous to me. The wali can't say no, so it's a bit different. It's a bit different. At the end of the day, with regards to this question, communication is key. Communication is key. You go to a man, you want him to be your wali. First and foremost is, what type of brother is he? Does he have 50 other sisters that he's looking after? Is he very busy and tied up? Will he give you the time and the attention that you need to find a good brother? Secondly is, for argument's sake, a sister had a wali, and for one reason or another, she switched her wali. without telling the first wali, then we say perhaps the marriage is permissible and valid bi'idhnillah, because the first wali is not like he's related to her. It's not her father. It's not blood relation. The imam at the masjid, the brother at the dawah center is doing nothing more but providing a basic service. He's providing a basic service for her. And the moment she doesn't go through him to get that service done, as if she said, I don't need or want your service anymore. So as if it's permissible. However, the best thing to do is to be clear and to communicate. But we can't become delusional here. It's America. You go to a brother, you ask for his service, that's it. There's no you owe him. You have to sign off. It doesn't necessarily work like that. It's just a voluntary thing that a brother is doing for this sister. And the moment she doesn't go back to him, obviously, she wasn't in need of his service anymore. Wallahu alam. Next question says, what is the proper or permissible way for a man to seek a co-wife? The same way to seek a first wife. The Prophet ﷺ says, تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِأَرْبَعٍ. A woman is to be married, or can be married, not is to. That's an incorrect translation. There are more than 4 reasons behind marrying a woman. The Prophet ﷺ says, تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِأَرْبَعٍ. A woman can be married for 4 reasons, and not only 4 reasons. From them is obviously her beauty, her wealth, her genealogy, and her religion. And we know in the Prophet ﷺ, he says, seek a religious wife, may your hands become dirty and dusty. I.e., as if he said to him, good luck. Not saying luck meaning superstition, but the concept, like bit tawfiq, taribati yaminuka, may your hand become dusty. Okay? So looking for a second wife is like looking for a first wife. That which is permissible is permissible, that which is impermissible. Him sitting with her, secluding himself with her, and no one is around, no third party, that's one thing. Them sitting, looking at each other's, awra, that's a different story. It's haram looking for a first wife, it's haram looking for a second wife. So the rules are the same. Perhaps the sister means, is it permissible for a husband to quote unquote sneak behind his wife and look for a second wife? I think that there's a major cultural clash, a major culture shock, and also between Islam as the rules and between culture. In Al-Islam, a man does not need the permission of his first wife to get a second wife. He does not need her permission. And any man who has to get permission from his first wife should not have 2 wives. It's the reality. If he has to ask, can I get married to sister such and such, then he is la yasluh. It's obviously this man isn't a qawwam. Okay, because a man who's taking care of everything, he pays the bills, he does everything, he looks after everything. He doesn't have to ask for anything. This is how it is. He can speak to his wife, he can be gentle, he can talk, he can consult his wife. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, there's another woman you want to be with, children, sleep with, not best. But permission, istidhan, no. Istidhan is only from someone who's beneath someone else. Someone who has authority over someone else. So if the husband, to get a second wife, he has to know his first wife. First wife is very jealous. First wife is immature. First wife is childish. First wife is very vindictive and vicious. First wife is like this. And he has to know the situation. Is it best to get a second wife without telling the first wife? It may cause a major problem, major fight, major split, major rift. You have to use hikmah. You have to use hikmah. But hikmah doesn't mean that something is mandatory or obligatory. Wallahu alam. Next question says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. What is the ruling on a woman wearing dreadlocks? Barakallahu fikum. We did a question and answer on this before, a Mufti Q&A, that it's permissible for a Muslim man or Muslim woman to wear their hair in any hairstyle that they please, as long as it doesn't go against the clear proofs from Kitab and Sunnah. The clear proofs from the Kitab and from the Sunnah. So if you want to wear a mohawk, you want to wear dreadlocks, pigtails, plaits, a French braid, afro, whatever you want to wear, as long as it doesn't want the specifics of Kitab and Sunnah. So in the Kitab and Sunnah, men and women are allowed to tie their hair and to plait their hair and to twist their hair. As far as wearing a hairstyle, which is a clear religious symbol pertaining to a creed and a faith and a belief of other than the Muslims, then that's a different story. If that is what a dreadlock is, then it would be haram. If the concept of dreads, corn dreads, certain types of dreads, different story, la bas. But wearing dreads like the mushrikun or like Christians wear dreadlocks, Ethiopians, Rastafarians, Haile Selassie, things like this, then that's a different story. But the general concept of twisting and tying your hair up and letting your hair grow natural, it is not haram and not Islam. and Allah knows best. Question says, the angel, the most blessed nikah is the one with the least expenses. Is that referring to the dowry? Initially, yes. Initially, yes. But a dowry being simple doesn't mean that it has to be cheap. Okay? It depends on a man's income. If a man has the ability to pay $1,000, $5,000, $20,000, and that's light to him, then that's not extravagance. That's not extravagance. But someone who has to go out of his way and borrow money and strain and be tightened and contracted through paying his money just for the dower, then that's a different story. And for FYIs, they say the word dowry in the English language is not sadaq in deen. A dowry is a gift that a woman gives to the husband. Dowry is a gift that the woman or her family gives to the husband's family in English. That's wrong. That's not proper English. Perhaps we'll say a dower or a marital gift, but a dowry is the exact opposite in English. What's important is, the bottom line is, and Allah knows best, is that do that which is simple and easy, according to the time, the place, the custom, and according to the husband's means. According to the husband's means. Wallahu alam. Next question says, what do you do when you as a Muslimah has a Muslim brother that is interested in marrying you, but he was married once before, but it didn't work out? The ex-wife now stalks him and myself. It depends on how much you like the brother. If you really like the brother and it's worth getting stalked, Bismillah. This is a reality. How handsome is the brother? You really like him like that? It may be worth it. If you don't like him like that, or it's not worth it, the drama, a woman stalking you, parking behind you, tapping your phone, you have to make that decision. I can't answer that question. Some people, they say it's worth it, no doubt. I'll go through the problems with the ex-husband and married his sister. She's worth it. And some sister may say, what? It ain't worth it. Wallahu alam. Next question says, what if you work and your husband is the provider and does so at all times? Is it still upon him to clothe the wife and make sure she's okay? Yes. If the wife is a millionaire and the husband sells fruit, he has to provide for her, no matter how much money she has. Anything that she spends upon herself or the household is voluntary. It's voluntary. However, we have a problem here that the scholars of Islam have explained. And that is it permissible for a poor man to marry a wealthy woman? Is it permissible for a wealthy man to marry a poor woman? Many of the people of knowledge, they say no. They say they are incompatible. His lifestyle is totally incompatible to her lifestyle. To her, she looks at his meal, says this is extravagance. And to him, he says this is a snack. So their life is going to be turbulent. How is he going to provide for her? Does he provide for her according to his lifestyle or her poor lifestyle? وهكذا. At the end of the day, if the woman has more money or she is the one who's working, we're going to stick with this stack of questions first because we don't know how much time we have. At the end of the day, whatever the woman wants to spend on herself, or not herself, but on him and the bills and the necessities, is voluntary. It's voluntary. And it is not obligatory, it is not mandatory at all. Next question says, in regards to the hadith about women entering paradise through any door, would an unmarried woman only have 3 things to do? Or is this exclusive for married women? Anyone who's righteous, man amila salihan, anyone who does righteous deeds, Allah says, min dhakarin aw untha, male or female. Allah says, فَلَنُحْيَنُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً وَلَنَجْزِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْرَهُمْ بِأَحْسَنِ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Allah says, anyone who does righteous deeds, male or female, and they are believers, وَهُوَ مُؤْمِن, and they are believers, فَلَنُحْيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً, we will give them a good, happy life, and we will reward them for the best of that which they used to perform. Married, unmarried, widowed, divorced, whatever the case may be. Anyone who's righteous has a promise from Allah to be allowed into Jannah. Wallahu alam. Next question says, Assalamu alaikum. Where can we find the hadith on slandering versus backbiting that you mentioned in the beginning of your talk? Perhaps that's for Brother Abu Sajid or Brother Ali Davis. Brother Ali, inshallah, you have to please give that question to him. The next question says, can a husband make his wife work because he wants another wife? Is a marriage valid if the woman paid for the dowry? Like we just explained, the husband is supposed to take care of the woman. Whether he has one wife or whether he has four, he's supposed to take care of her. That's number one. However, a game that's often played between brothers and sisters is that a sister lives with a brother, and brother doesn't have a lot of money, or he's working, and she says, no, I'll take care of it. It's all right. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I'll do it. I like to work. I can't stay in the house. I have a degree. I have a career, so on and so forth. And everything's fine and peachy. And they live for 15 years, 20 years, fine and peachy. The moment he says second wife, no, you have to pay every bill. No, you owe me this. No, you didn't. That's not being real. That's not being realistic. You can't demand the sunnah lifestyle when you want to and reject it when you want to. That's unrealistic. That's unrealistic. So it depends on how you're living your life. If you're living that sunnah lifestyle in which you are a housewife, a homemaker, this is your question, Ali. This is a question for you. This is a question for you. If a wife is a homemaker, that's for you, brother. Indeed, it is for you. Verily, that's for you. I didn't do a talk about backbiting and slandering. Back to the question. Back to the question. Back to the question. If you're a homemaker and your husband is the one who works, if you're old-fashioned is the sunnah way, then that's a different story. That's a different story. But a sister, she goes out, she wears this, she dresses like this, she's touching men, so on and so forth. And the only reason why she's making a fuss and a complaint is because of her jealousy with regards to the second wife. That's not being transparent with yourself or with Allah or with your husband. Wallahu a'lam. Now it says, how can I stop the intermingling in my marriage? When I say something about it, I'm being put down because I don't know what the sister goes through. Intermingling has left me with a broken heart and a backdoor co-wife. At the end of the day, ad-dinu nasiha, the religion is advice. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. Allah says you are the best nation that has arisen from the people for the people, the best of the best. Why? Because you're enjoying the good, you forbid the evil, you believe in Allah. So if you know your husband is doing something which is haram, or something which is disliked, it's your job to give him advice and tell him to taqillah, fear Allah. What you're doing is haram, not just because of my jealousy or co-wife, but it's haram. So give him the nasiha, enjoy the good and forbid the evil. And that's a good wife who pulls her husband's arm, who pulls his coat, who steers him in the right direction. That's a righteous wife. And not a wife who's afraid to tell her husband to fear Allah. Wallahu a'lam. As far as if it says she didn't get a dowry, what happened? She paid. How does a woman pay her own dowry? Allah musta'an. Next question. Please clarify. A wali plus wakil for marriage. I always thought a wakil was someone appointed to you. In the event you have one in your family to be a wakil, do you keep a wakil when married? I don't know if this is the same question from when we answered. Different? Tell you, I think it's a branch off the first question. It sounds like the cup is full. The meaning of the wali and wakil is what we just explained, according to our little knowledge. Wallahu a'lam. Next question. Can a husband make his wife work because he wants... We read that already?
No.
Yeah, if a marriage is valid, if a woman paid her dowry, we mentioned that. Next question says, if a Muslim man has two wives, is it permissible to love one more than the other? We have to understand something, brothers and sisters, is that what do you mean by love one wife more than the other? Do you mean the natural emotion in his heart? Or do you mean how he talks about this one and looks at this one and buys this gift and he makes time for her and takes off of work and he goes out of his way to get the most small, meticulous thing for her pleasure and he spends more time on her, he always makes an excuse coming home, I'm tired, I have to work, I got a headache, I got to travel. If that's what you mean by love more than another, then that's haram. That's haram. You can't do that. You have to give them equal time and equal spending according to their needs. And it's not from hikmah for a man who loves a wife more, has more attraction to her, she's more beautiful, whatever the case may be. She has more ilm, she's more respectful, she's more obedient. He can't be over this wife's house talking about her, daydreaming about her all day. That's haram. It's permissible. However, the feeling in his heart, he cannot control. And that's why Allah, he mentions in the Quran that Allah has not made two hearts in the chest of a man. So it is not obligatory in Islam for a husband to love his wife. Who said that's obligatory? It's not obligatory. His job is to take care of his wife and to do good for his wife. If he loves her, which in most cases is going to happen. But it's not obligatory for him to love her. It's not mandatory. People back in the day, they got married because marriage was a necessity. People would die. They had no food. They had no heat. They had no shelter, no protection. There were wars. It was a necessity to get married. And that's why women back in the day, they were happy when they got a co-wife. They were happy because there was less responsibilities on them, less firewood to gather, less animals to milk. Less childbirth. Women died by having children. Extremely excruciating pain. So there's a difference now. Nowadays, our culture, there's no marriage except without love. That's a good thing. Allah says, treat them honorably, treat them honorably. No question about that. But it's not necessarily Islamically mandatory. Just like a woman may marry a man for other than love. She may say, I'm an older woman. I've been married. I've had children. I have a family. My kids are all grown. They have children. I don't need love, but I need someone to comfort me. I need someone to teach me. I need someone to be there for me for my needs. That's permissible. So it depends on what you mean by love. What's important is, brothers and sisters, what's important is polygamy and polygyny is a system. It's a system that Allah has legislated. There are do's and there are don'ts. There are things which are mandatory. There are things which are disliked. There are things which are haram. There are things which are recommended. You can't get to this unless you have the proper fiqh. The fiqh of Allah and the fiqh of His Rasul. Understanding what Allah wants and what the Messenger has legislated. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever Allah was good for, He gives him fiqh of the deen. So the rules of polygamy and polygyny, the do's and the don'ts, you have to learn them. And a husband, he should know them before he gets a second wife. Well, how can that? What's important is most of these questions pertaining to polygamy and polygyny. Please go back. We did a 3-part series on this, on Hadith Disciple, called Polygamy in Light of Kitab and Sunnah. We did 3 lectures discussing the details, the ups and the downs, the do's and the don'ts of polygamy. Wallahu a'lam. This question says, if a Muslim man can have a non-Muslim wife, can a Muslim woman have a non-Muslim husband? If not, why? No. By the consensus of the people of knowledge, a Muslim woman is not allowed to have a Christian husband or a Jewish husband. Why? There's several reasons why. One of the reasons is something that we just explained. All right? But before we go that far, a major mistake that many brothers, they make in America. They marry a Christian woman, they have children, and then the children are allowed to pick which religion they want. Well, my dad's a Muslim, so my first name is Rafiq, and my mom's a Christian, so my last name is Smith, for example, Methodist, whatever the case may be, whatever his name they take. My dad's a Muslim, I know about Islam, I'll go to the mosque, I pray Ramadan, but my mom's a Christian. They respect each other, they don't fight, and you want to go to church on Sunday? Fine. You want to go to the Jummah on Friday? No problem. That's haram in Islam. It is impermissible for a man to marry a Jewish or Christian woman and have children on her unless it is known and established that the children will be upon my deen. It is not a fair deal, quote unquote fair. It's a one-way street. And that goes back to what we mentioned, that men are the maintainers of women. If a man is physically weak, financially weak, spiritually weak, mentally weak, then he's unsuited to be a husband, let alone have more than one wife. Let alone have a woman who is a Jew or a Christian. This is the deal. She says, I want to marry you. I'm not a Muslim. Or not yet, she says. I like Islam, but I'm not ready yet. I'm a Christian. I'm a chaste woman. I don't sleep with men, but I like you a lot. You're honest. You smell good. You look good. I heard Muslim men take care of their women. I want to jump on board. And you tell her, you say, okay, that's fine. My religion allows that, but you can't walk out wearing this, dress like this. You can't have this across in my house. And if we have children, they're going to be taught and indoctrinated in Islam from day one. She says, that's fine. I just want someone that's going to treat me kindly, that's going to look after me. That's permissible. If she says no, they're my children too. They can go to the church too. They will learn about Judaism too. That is haram and not Islam. It's haram and not Islam. That cannot be done if a woman is married to a Jewish man. Because the Jewish man is supposed to be the what? the protector and the maintainer. He's supposed to have to say so over her. The children want to follow the ways of Judah, and not of Islam. It's impermissible. So this goes back to the system of man and of woman. This goes back to the system of who is taking care and who is being taken care of. And the bottom line is, brothers and sisters, that when we do away with Allah's wisdom and we make up our own way, things crack and crumble. Things crack and crumble for brothers and for sisters. And it's wisdom and happiness and following the wisdom that Allah has laid down. Wallahu a'lam. Question says, Assalamu alaikum. If your husband makes his salat but doesn't attend the masjid, is that grounds to ask for divorce? I don't think there's a husband that doesn't pray in the masjid and the sister asks for divorce. I don't think that's the only problem. I don't think that's the real reason why she wants divorce. I don't think so. I think it's a smoke screen. I don't think that's a real example in life. A husband who's kind, he's knowledgeable, he's handsome, he takes care of you, he looks after you, and the only thing that you have is that he doesn't go to the masjid, but he prays, and you ask for divorce. I think that's something else. And Allah knows best. It seems as if someone's looking for an excuse to get a divorce. At the end of the day, the sister should advise her husband, as long as the masjid is in the close vicinity of his house. Let's say 1 to 3 blocks away from one's house. No one would normally hear the adhan without a microphone. If there was no electricity, a blackout. Now I'm not quiet it is when it's a blackout. If you go to the country, you can't hear anything except for crickets. There's no planes, there's no airport, there's no subway. It's totally quiet. And a man made the adhan from the top of a roof. How far would his voice travel? 3 blocks, 5 blocks. So you gauge that. From your house, which is on 41st and Walnut, to 46th and Walnut, or 43rd and Walnut, without no electricity. No electricity. So if you live on 43rd and Walnut, you would be obliged to go to the masjid on 41st and Walnut. But if you lived on 52nd and Walnut, you would not be obliged to go to the masjid on 41st and Walnut. Even though you can hear the adhan with a microphone, or with an app, or if you have a car. It's not obligatory. The blind man, Ibn Maktoum, Sahih Muslim, he went to the Messenger of Allah, والسلام, and he says, O Messenger of Allah, he says, I have no one to lead me to the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ was asked, he says, can I pray in my home? He let him go. And then when he turned away, he called him back. He says, Hal tasma'u an nida' as-salah? He says, can you hear the adhan? The blind man said, yes. Qala fahajib. He says, then come. So the scholars of Islam, they say it's obligatory to go to the masjid based off of you hearing the adhan by natural means, not man-made means. You can hear someone calling adhan 20 blocks away with the right system. By clearing this, you can call someone on the phone with the adhan. No, natural means. If you live in that radius, then the correct view is not consensus by all of the scholars, but the correct view is that Salat al-Jama'ah is obligatory if you live in that vicinity. And if you do not live in that vicinity, then going to the masjid is a virtue. It's a good thing to do, to establish the salah, to sit in the class, to see the brothers. But it is not what? It's not wajib. So, for argument's sake, I live on 52nd and Walnut. There are no masjids except for 41st and Walnut. I can pray Salat al-Fajr in my house. I can make Salat al-Dhuhr where? In my house. If I want to go to 41st and Walnut, which is a 5-minute drive in the car, alhamdulillah, it's a virtue, it's a reward. But it is not mandatory. So therefore, if your husband lives in the vicinity of the masjid, and he and you both believe that it's obligatory to pray Jama'ah in the masjid, and he doesn't go without a valid excuse, he's not sick, he's not ill, it's not snowing and raining outside, then give him advice, enjoy the good, forbid the evil, tell him to listen to a lecture, do whatever you have to do to remind him of Allah's rights upon him. And if he refuses, and you're displeased with someone who disregards the Jama'ah prayer, and you don't be in that marriage, this is one story. The scholars of Islam say it's permissible for a woman to seek divorce if she's displeased with the deen of her husband. But obviously that's extremely relative and subjective. And oftentimes, sisters, they get divorced from a brother running from one thing, and they marry another brother who has 10 more problems, 10 times worse. Wallahu a'lam. How short can a woman cut her hair with her husband's permission? There's no restriction. She can wear any type of hairstyle that she wants to, as long as it doesn't go against hijab and sunnah. It's permissible for a woman to have short hair, because there are many hairstyles which women have that are known for women. And they aren't the hairstyles of men, hairstyles of lesbians. It's permissible, as long as it is feminine and womanly. As long as it's feminine and womanly. Wallahu a'lam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is it permissible for a second wife to make a separate contract in his dealings with the first family? In general, the general rule is, let's talk about the kitchen. You're a chef. One of the ways that you get sick and you get salmonella poisoning is what? Cross-contamination. So this cutting board had chicken breasts on it. And this cutting board is for a salad. The knife, the cutting board, the rag is supposed to be what? Totally separate. You do not mix and match and dip and dab. And the moment you do that, you get an awful what? Awful illness. So this man's first household has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with you. What he does, how he sleeps, what they eat, what they do, how they live, has nothing to do with you. Except and unless it's something that is endangering you. Something that is endangering you. This sister, people have said she has HIV. It's known. It's a rumor. It's well known. People say she has HIV. You want to marry her? I need to see the blood work. Wait 2 weeks, wait 2 months, get another test. I don't want to have vaginal sex with you unprotected for 6 months. That's a different story. That's a different story. A sister that has a major problem, a major illness, a major problem, it's a different story. If it doesn't pertain to your health and your well-being, then it is none of your concern. But this goes back to what we just explained. Men are supposed to be the protectors and maintainers over women, and not the exact opposite. Wallahu a'lam. Next question says, if a woman is a co-wife for a long period of time and changes now, you feel about him in a negative way. Is the woman at fault? How her feelings have changed? No, she's not at fault. Her heart is not in her hand. Obviously, in most cases, the man, he did something which changed her heart. Perhaps. Wallahu a'lam. What's important is, if the sister is unpleased with the husband, she doesn't want to be with him for some other reasons, and she wants a divorce, that's a different story. That's a different story. The heart changes. That's why it's called qalb. Let get to qalb. It's called qalb. Qalb in Arabic language means to flip. In qalb, something is flipped, is inverted. The heart is always moving and shaking and jumping. And that's why from the dua that we make is Allah to make our hearts firm. Because the heart changes. People change. You've been married to somebody for years. Then you wake up and says, I'm not interested in you no more. I don't like you anymore. I'm not attracted to you anymore. It happens. It's life. What can you do? Next question says, if you have someone that is interested in marrying you and you've explained to him that you don't wish to marry a man that wants multiple wives, can you divorce if he later decides he wants to? Should you put that in your dowry? The scholars of Islam, they say, there are two views of the people of knowledge with regards to this issue. Two views. The first view is that any condition or stipulation or agreement that was made before the contract must be respected and upheld after the contract. Any agreement that was made, as long as it's not against Kitab and Sunnah, it has to be respected later on. So a sister, she says, I'll marry you, but do not force me to wear niqab. I don't cover my face. I don't think it's obligatory. Or it is obligatory, but I'm not ready for that yet. I want to work, whatever the case may be. And he says, no problem. Bismillah, I agree. And then later on, 2 weeks later, he says, wear niqab, cover your face. She pulls out the contract. He says, he rips the contract. There's no contract. Obey your husband. And she says, in the contract, I clearly stated this. And if you make me, then I'm getting a divorce. The meaning people of knowledge, they say that it's permissible. And it's haram for him to break that contract. Based on the words of the Prophet ﷺ, in ahaqqa shurut. And he says the conditions that have the most right to be fulfilled, mastahlaltum bihil furuj. It says are the conditions that were made to allow marital relations permissible. So they say anything that a woman makes of a stipulation must be upheld afterwards. I'm not leaving Philadelphia. I'm not wearing a niqab. I don't want a second wife. Whatever the case may be. And then there are other ulama of Islam who say this is impermissible and invalid. And it's unbefitting. They say that a woman cannot make a contractual agreement upon that which Allah and His Messenger have made permissible. Upon that which Allah and His Messenger have commanded and have made recommended or obligatory, whatever it is. And they say that the proof of this is the Prophet's words, مَا بَالُ رِجَالٍ يَشْتَرِطُونَ شُرُوطًا لَيْسَتْ هِيَ فِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ. He says, what is wrong with men who make conditions that are not found in the book of Allah, meaning the Sharia of Allah? He says, any condition that is not in the book of Allah is false no matter how many conditions are made. So the scholars of Islam, they have two main views with regards to this issue. At the end of the day, you have to marry someone that you're compatible with. If you want to marry someone and be in a monogamous relationship, then that's the man that you should marry. If you want to marry a brother and you feel he's going to get a second wife because of his lifestyle or what type of brother he is, whatever the case may be, and you don't want to be in that situation, don't marry him. At the end of the day, polygamy is from Allah, it is permissible, and it isn't for anyone to make it impermissible. Wallahu a'lam. Last question says, my husband said he divorced me but didn't say it to me, but stated he had witnesses. Does it count if he did not say it to me? The people of knowledge, they say, announcing divorce to a woman is not a condition of a valid divorce. It is not a condition. If he divorced you on paper, and then 2 months went by, and he told you in the 3rd month, you have 1 more month afterwards, I didn't have sex with you, then talaq is valid. Is that the best thing to do? Is that how we live our lives, our relationships? That's a different story. Why would you live with a woman, divorce a woman, and not tell her? Give her time to prepare where she's going to move, where she's going to live, whatever the case may be. Seek help, seek counseling. So that's something which is mustahsan. That's not the best thing to do. It being valid, that's a different story. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyyina Muhammad.